AI is killing the music industry and that's okay. I guess that's the title. First of all, let me defend that premise that AI is killing the music industry. And then I'll defend the conclusion that that's okay, which is a recent conclusion that I've come to. But AI is killing the music industry. First, if you have objections to that, they might be one, no, it's not. It's just a tool. No, it's not. It does the whole thing. What screwdriver do you know builds a fucking desk without a guy attached to the screwdriver? It's not a tool. It makes a song. All right. Stupid. Sorry, but it's stupid. It's not a tool. It's an intelligence. That's what it is. Two, people don't like shit made by machines. No, doesn't matter. They can't tell and nobody cares. Maybe like three people would be like, what? Was this AI? And that's going to stop in like 5 months. No one's going to, it's over. It's over, okay? It's over. All right? So to clarify, that second objection was some say, uh, what was it? Oh yeah, people want stuff made by humans. They want to connect to people. They want to know who the artist is behind the song. People don't just connect to a song. That's not true, man. I, that, you listen to a song, you go, oh, this is cool. I like this song. Who is this? And some guy, the guy driving next to you, goes, oh, this is Tino Mablagabla. You go, oh, cool. This song's great. I'm gonna save Tino Mablagabla's new album. You don't give a shit who the guy is. Maybe you then, if he becomes one of your favorite artists, maybe you buy tickets to the show. Maybe you look him up on Wikipedia or whatever, but it doesn't fucking matter. That's never been what a song has been about. Most of my favorite artists are dead, and I've never met them and don't care to meet them. You know, obviously I couldn't, but anyway, so that's second objection. It's baloney. What's the third objection? Hey man, you shouldn't have been making music. Third objection. Shouldn't have been making music for what are you trying to make money from music? I make music for me, man. Music's always about self-expression. Art is about self-expression, man. Yeah, duh, but it's also about that would be cool if people fucking heard my music, or that would be cool if people paid for my art so that I can pay rent without working as a fucking waiter. Sure, it's always been difficult, but it's always been possible. Now the it's not that the finish line's been pushed further or that the fucking goalposts have been pushed together. The fucking finish line and the goalposts have been removed from the field, okay? This thing does the entire thing. All right, so yes, you can of course derive satisfaction and meaning from creating art. All right? Yes. But if you are like look at fucking Van Gogh and Kafka, all right? Two famously great, I'm not scare quoting because I disagree, but just to use the word to specify the word great, two great artists who were miserable their whole lives mostly because they went unrecognized for their whole lives. Van Gogh famously offed himself because of that, or maybe, you know, whatever, bipolar or whatever, but we won't get into that. Kafka, whatever, he died of tuberculosis, but he died pretty much a loser, unrecognized, and there's dozens and dozens of these examples throughout history. What was I saying? But yeah, they were miserable because they were unrecognized, among other things. But like, it sucks to have to live a shitty life that doesn't align with your identity, or to live believing that most people think your work is bad, or that people just don't care enough to see your work or to listen to it or to whatever consume it, or whatever. Basically, what I'm saying is it matters if your audience is stripped from you, if you're actually trying to be an artist. It's one thing if you have a hobby, that's great. And it's one thing to acknowledge the beauty of creative expression for its own sake, the intrinsic value of creativity. Sure, I agree. But it doesn't negate the loss, the death that is the advent of machinery that can overtake your audience instantaneously. Okay? So there are probably more objections. Those are the main three. If I can try to remember them, which I probably forgot them, but I'll try to recap it. It's just a tool. No, it's not. Uh, People want to connect to the artist, and they don't care if it's made by a machine. They won't want to listen to it, or they won't want to watch it. I guess we'll keep it in the music world because I talked about visual guys, but and writers, but keep it to music. People, they'll listen to it regardless, and they don't even know what the fuck's going on. Who knows what they're listening to? And then last, it wasn't about making it in the first place, man. It shouldn't have been. Real artists generally want to have some kind of audience, and this is what's being removed. All right? All wrong. AI is going to end the music industry for musicians. Now, why do I think that's all right? Well, first of all, let me give it its due. It is tragic. It's sad. It's a death. It deserves grief. It will. I grieve it currently. We will mourn this profession, this era, this paradigm. But it's over. But it hasn't been around that long, and it was never meant to last forever, just like anything else. The phonograph has been around for what? I don't know, 100 years? I don't know, about 100 years. So that's the dawn of recorded music. Nothing before that. Literally, an old person's age is the first time the idea of a record spawned. And then a recording artist, a guy who's famous for standing in front of a crowd playing a guitar and singing into a microphone the same melodies that he put on a plastic disc that you can sell and buy at a store. Or these things are all like these modern weird twists on music. Maybe some would be inclined to malign them as capitalistic, which I don't give a shit about. I'm not for or against capitalism. It's just what's happening right now. But some people hate capitalism because they're really smart and edgy, and maybe they would say, actually, right now that I'm listening to this guy talking on YouTube about the death of, actually, this is kind of fucked up that music has been this sort of capitalistic expression or whatever. That we're trying to sell records. We're getting gold and platinum records for selling more records. Why does an exchange of money have to happen for to measure the quality or validity of a piece of artwork, of music? But yeah, these are recent developments. The idea that a role that you are fated or destined to be some sort of, like man, we think of whatever, Bob Dylan, or fucking, I don't know who's popular, Dua Lipa. Never heard a Dua Lipa song, but I know she's a famous person right now. Wow, they're stars. We're starstruck. Wow, they changed the course of stuff, and wow. But that's a new thing. It's ephemeral. That wasn't what music was. In fact, even if you go back to Beethoven times and before him, whatever, Mozart, Bach, yeah, they wrote songs, kind of. They wrote movements and concertos and stuff like that. So we could say, that they were kind of doing that kind of thing back then, but that was still recent too. That was only a few hundred years ago. So then you think, before all of this shit, what was music? It was just music. That's a good answer, huh? That was a good answer. It was just music. But what I mean is, music was completely detached from these things that we've attached it to. I'm not even like a woo-woo, fruity, fucking new agey, hey man kind of guy, where it's like, man, get the business out of music, man. Look, I would have loved to have been on a Interscope Records or something, a fucking big hot shot on the stage, and big stadiums and shit. But what I'm saying is, and maybe this is cope, maybe this is yeah, maybe this is sour grapes rationalization, but I can't outthink this. I think this is true. this is like a weird phase for music right now. The fact that we've had these digital recordings, these inscriptions, these fucking numbers representing zero binary numbers representing the pixels of the fucking sound or whatever, the samples of the sound, is a strange thing, and it was never meant to last forever. Now I'm repeating myself, but you get the point. You know, fucking 2,000 years ago, whatever, 3,000, 4,000 years ago, some guy would hit on a drum, some guy would go or whatever, and and everybody felt good, and they were sitting around a fire going kumbaya. I don't know, but that's what music was. And before that, you know, whatever, maybe it was even more primitive, and I'm sure it was. And who knows what's coming next. I think it's totally fair to grieve this. As I said, I'm grieving. This was like a cool thing. It's kind of like going to a summer camp or some shit. When you leave, you didn't want to go to summer camp for your whole life, and some of it was shitty. And you know, but summer ends, and that year of your youth ends, or whatever. And it's like, well, it's time to do the next thing. But you grieve it because it's sad when things end. But I just think it's total delusional denial to think that, oh no, the music, thing with the charts and releasing MP3s that people can stream, and it's all ending. It's all ending. I've been grieving this for a while, so I'm actually kind of at peace with it. It still stings when I'm like, I have a melody in my head that I want to be, oh, this would be cool. What if I make this into a song? Then I think, oh, there's 80 trillion melodies out there, and the computer's actually ready to make them right now without me doing anything. And that kills that. And you could be, maybe you're sitting there thinking, oh, you're not a real musician, man. You would do it anyway. That's fine if you think that, but yeah, I guess I made my point. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. I bet right now people are creating great music that, people will love for decades. And here I am just justifying not creating because I'm whatever, jaded or defeated or trying to come to terms with not being good enough or whatever. But I don't know. Part of me truly, I try to be authentic with my own self, my thoughts about shit, and I think I believe what I'm saying about this being the end of stuff. But it also just makes sense. That stuff doesn't last forever. Why would fucking cave paintings last forever? Why would the Andy Warhol era of putting a fucking Campbell's soup can, why would that, imagine being like, well, it's just a tool now that we have, like, you can't just do the same thing. Why would shit not change? That's the one thing, is that change is always there. That's the only thing that doesn't change is change. All right, I'm getting down to the bottom of the barrel with what is that fucking P word? Not palindromes. I keep thinking of that every time I think the word palindrome. It means like thing you say, that every fucking time, this word. A thing you say, platitude. Now I'm getting to the bottom of the barrel with platitudes. I should have ended this 10 minutes ago. You get the point? Whatever.